There's no such thing as ghosts. At least that's what Velma always said. Every single time the gang found themselves staring down phosphorescent phantoms or cackling specters in some cobwebbed hallway, that was her mantra. But tonight, with thunder rolling and lightning flickering over the jagged Carpathian mountains, even the most skeptical mind starts to wonder. Picture this. A winding road, cutting through a fog so thick you could carve it. The mystery machine, battered but beloved, crawls up the gravel path. Inside, our 5 heroes are a mixed bag of anxiety. Velma, ever the pragmatist, is glued to her tablet, watching data spikes jump off the charts. Daphne, scrolling through grainy news reports on her phone, tightens the scarf around her neck. Fred grips the steering wheel, trying his best to ignore the van's groans as it fights the steep incline. And in the back, Shaggy and Scooby are sharing a mega-sized bag of chips, exchanging nervous glances with every bump. Because tonight, they've been called to a castle rumored to be cursed. Frankencastle. It sits perched on a mountain peak like a jagged stone crown, a dark silhouette against purple-black clouds. The invitation seemed routine enough. Please investigate the strange events at my family estate, it read, signed by a distant relative of Velma's, a baroness none of them had ever heard of. But as the colossal iron gates squeal open and the mystery machine sputters to a stop beneath the looming towers, they all feel that electric tingle in the air that says this adventure is about to go spectacularly wrong. They're greeted by a man named Igor. Yes, really. He introduces himself as Dr. Ivan Gorsky, the estate's caretaker, but nobody misses the thick accent, the slightly hunched walk, or the wild, darting eyes. He leads them through immense wooden doors, across a checkered marble floor, past suits of armor and old, imposing portraits where the painted eyes seem to follow their every step. The castle itself seems to be alive, creaking and groaning in the wind, and the suspense is already simmering. In the grand hall, the Baroness appears. She's a dramatic figure, draped in velvet, her eyes luminous in the candlelight. "Thank you for coming," she says, her voice a low theatrical whisper. She gestures towards a row of Gothic guest rooms. "Please explore. There have been unusual disturbances." As if on cue, thunder rattles the massive windows. Velma, wasting no time, gets right to work, plugging her instruments into the castle's ancient electrical grid. Daphne, true to form, vanishes for a quick wardrobe change and some reconnaissance, her fashionable but functional mantra leading her into dusty attics and down winding back stairs. Fred, meanwhile, starts sketching a blueprint of the castle's labyrinthine layout, muttering things like perimeter defense and potential trapdoors. And then, as true night falls, the haunting begins. First is the howling. A high keening wail that vibrates the glass in their rooms, rising and falling with a strange melody that's definitely not the wind. Then comes a storm of footsteps, a stampede of heavy boots from the empty 3rd floor. Shadows flicker at the very edge of the candlelight. In the great dining hall, a massive silver candelabra levitates, spinning slowly a meter before crashing to the floor, scattering candles like shooting stars. Most people would run. But this is the mystery team, and for them, curiosity always outweighs fear. So, of course, they split up. Scooby and Shaggy refusing to separate, like we're a package deal, man. Tiptoe toward the west wing, drawn by the faint scent of leftover turkey and the unmistakable glint of a pair of floating eyes. Velma, adjusting her orange turtleneck, slips off toward what looks like a control room, muttering about EMEO pulses and electromagnetic anomalies. Fred and Daphne make for the battlements, their flashlight beams cutting through the velvet darkness as they search for a physical explanation. Wires, projectors, anything. Down below, in what looks like an old laboratory, Scooby and Shaggy stumble through stacks of dusty crates and overturned beakers. Old computer screens flicker on and off. Suddenly, the silence is shattered by a metallic roar that shakes the very bricks of the castle. Out of the gloom, a shape lumbers forward. It's massive. 7 feet tall, made of stitched-together metal plating and glowing neon tubes, with fiery orbs for eyes. It's a robot. A Frankenstein's monster for a new age, hissing sparks from its hydraulics. Scooby lets out a classic yelp. Shaggy is already halfway into his emergency ghost-proof blanket. But just as they brace for the worst, the robot pauses. A screen on his chest flickers to life and projects something that looks a lot like a smiley face, and then zap. A laser net shoots from his palms. Just in the nick of time, Fred rounds the corner. In a move of pure, unadulterated heroism, he executes a flying tackle, pushing Scooby and Shaggy out of the net's path. Daphne is right behind him. She grabs a fire extinguisher from the wall and unleashes a blizzard of foam directly at the robot as optical sensors. Velma rushes in, having tracked the machine's power source. It's magnetically guided. She yells, "Someone's piloting it remotely." The team throws everything they have at it. A chandelier to the head, strategically placed tapestries, even Scooby's half-eaten lunch. Nothing slows the monster down. It crashes through corridors, its digital face fluctuating between rage and confusion. And it seems to get angrier with every failed attack. But then, back in the heart of the Great Hall, Fred spots something, a pattern. He notices the robot's precise movements, the way it consistently avoids certain spots on the floor. He draws the robot's fire long enough for Velma to triangulate the source of the remote control signal, a hidden panel right behind the grand pipe organ. They burst through the false wall and find themselves in a high-tech control room. Screens are covered in code, and antennae are twitching everywhere. And standing at the controls is someone in a lab coat and a welder's mask. It's the Baroness. She peels off her disguise with a theatrical flourish. Her voice shifts from a spooky baronial whisper to a sharp Brooklyn accent. "Bravo, mystery team," she admits. "You figured out my little performance. There never were any ghosts. Just a prototype fortress defense robot. I had to scare away my nosy relatives so I could conduct my experiments in peace." The Legend of the Castle Ghost was the perfect cover story. She hits a big red button on her remote. The robot lunges. The team dives for cover just as the real fun begins. The Baroness tries to flee, but Dr. Gorski, who, it turns out, is a rival roboticist, triggers his own creation from the basement. A second robot, shaped like a giant stone gargoyle, rises into the ballroom, bristling with sensor arrays and pneumatic claws. Metal clashes on stone as the two mechanical titans battle it out. The Frankencastle bot swings a massive iron fist, but the gargoyle bot deflects it with a powerful gust of pressurized steam. Sparks fly everywhere. Fred, thinking fast, lands a solid right hook on a coolant line, which bursts and spews glowing neon liquid all over the floor. Daphne, not to be outdone, uses a hairpin to short-circuit a power conduit, creating a dazzling arc of electricity between the battling robots. Both machines stagger, their systems shorting out, their movements growing sluggish and clumsy. Seeing her chance, Velma rushes to a central console and begins rerouting the castle's entire power grid. With a triumphant cry of "Jinkies," she slams the override button. The castle is flooded with blinding electric light, and both bots shudder violently before freezing in place, locked in silent mid-duel stalemate. The Baroness makes a run for it, but Scooby, filled with newfound courage, body checks her just as she reaches the drawbridge. Shaggy, of course, is already safely outside, having made a classic panicked leap through a priceless stained glass window. As police sirens wail up the mountain road, Fred explains it all. The Baroness used the legend of a haunted castle to scare everyone away, giving her a secret location to test her military-grade robots. Dr. Gorski, for his part, sheepishly admits he built his own robot to defend the castle's historical heritage from her destructive experiments. So no ghosts. Just mad science, Velma concludes, triumphantly brandishing a fried circuit board. The authorities thank the team. The two robots, now permanently powered down, are left frozen in the ballroom, an instant tourist attraction. As the golden sun breaks over the mountains, the mystery machine winds its way back down the gravel road. Daphne is already posting 60-plus pictures to her blog. Velma is busy filing her data with the Paranormal Debunking Society. Fred is cleaning engine parts and analyzing robot blueprints. And Shaggy and Scooby are finally digging into a well-earned victory feast of triple-decker sandwiches, because ghosts may not be real. But in this line of work, you can never rule out a rogue robot with a taste for chaos. And the mystery team will always be ready. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next mystery.